What up, everybody? It's your boy Evan, one half of MF Pearl. We got the other half sitting behind the camera, making sure that we rolling. We got David back there.
Hey, everyone.
Yes, sir. You know what it is. Every Wednesday, Legends Only in the building, Volume 2, live at MFHQ. Disclaimer. Live at MFHQ is in fact not recorded live. It's actually a pre-recorded program. This episode contains sexually explicit content, so feel free to do what you wish with that information. If you could be so kind of like, follow, and subscribe for me. We go very long with new episodes every Wednesday. Now back to the show. Yes, sir. Yeah, right there would have been the disclaimer. But it's fake. It's pre-recorded every time. Every time. We'll cut that out, don't worry. Nah, just kidding. It's gonna be there. So they're gonna know. There's just some sounds being made. Hey yo, man, what up, y'all? Welcome to the show. Make sure you guys keep showing love to the channels. You can find all of our full-length episodes, of course, on YouTube. But if you want to explore the website, you'll find them there as well, mfpearl.com. If you guys are finding these episodes on your favorite streaming platform, though, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, make sure you guys like it, give it a rating, share it, save it, whatever you guys can do to show love to those platforms. And, of course, you can always keep up to date with everything that we are dropping. Midnight sessions, live at MFHQ, any future stuff, whatever the case may be. But you can find it most up to date on our Instagram at MFPearl. But let's get back to the show one time. Today, we got another one of my bros in the building. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Just like a few of our past guests, I had the opportunity of meeting her at the university. You know what I mean? At UTEP. I think you may not remember, but there was one time where you had asked me for help on a problem. We had no idea who we were. We were just taking the same class. But luckily, a little bit later, we were able to formally meet through our organizations, of course, at the university. So since then, we've been able to know of each other, keep in touch. And I've seen somebody just constantly be on a professional grind. And I've seen somebody who is also the same person value-wise, discipline-wise, that I seen when I first met. And that's important because over time, it's been enough time to where normally people do change. And these values have been good. They've stayed great. They've only gotten better over time. So I just want to pick her brain a little bit. I want to learn about what she does. There's different things that she does. She says something, and then 2 years later, it's another thing. And then just constant evolution. So I think it's time that we go ahead and collect all that. Get to learn about her a little bit more. Because if you do know her, you know that this is crazy. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, live at the HQ, we have Cassandra, but hey, we all like to call her Casey Huhn in the building.
Welcome.
Hello.
Yes,
Hello.
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Welcome, Casey.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Also, may I say, before we continue, it's not just Casey because I want to be different. My name is Cassandra Caroline, so they're my initials, all right? So we don't need any Cassies. I appreciate a solid Cassie, but no, it's initials out here.
It's played out.
Yeah.
We don't need Cassie. Hey, but that's what we're talking about.
That is?
Walls get broken down here.
Oh my
There are
gosh.
people who have probably always wondered, what does Casey even mean?
I know. Why is she just trying to be called by these initials? Why can't she go by her normal name?
Man, Casey, how you doing? Today specifically,
Today specifically.
and in this season of life.
Today specifically was a good day. So many things happened. I actually feel like I had 3 days in one. My
Yeah.
nap, kind of.
So you nap.
Oh yeah, I have to. We had a solid work session first half of the day. Second half of the day was out and about in the city. Nap time. Then here I am, part 3. But right now, season of life, things are on a roller coaster to say the least.
Wow. What does a roller coaster for you look like? What does that even mean?
Basically, I know what's going to happen every day for every week up until the end of the year. So it's just all right. On to the next day, on to the next day. Keep it going, keep it rolling.
But then when the end of the year comes around, what does that look like? What?
Oh, we have like strategic planning and everything in like November. So we'll see. We'll get that puppy planned out.
Casey, can you explain to me a little bit of your portfolio at the moment? Like, what are the titles you carry? And like, what does your work include?
Yes. So I think
Just the titles.
Oh, just the titles?
Yeah, because I know you got to be a little careful right now.
Okay, well, look, this is how
I'm gonna
this,
take
this
that
is
out. I'm
how
gonna
I'll
take this
set it
all
up.
out. This should be all taken off.
No, I think I'll set it up in this way.
Okay.
The easiest and cleanest way, I think, to describe what I do is I'm an economic and community developer. And so previously I used to work for an economic development nonprofit, and now I currently work at a bank. But then I'm on a couple of boards, help run some community organizations. And so, yeah, it's just a nice blend of being very involved in the community to help make sure it grows and just keeps, I don't know,
Oh
developing.
man, I'm so excited because economic development is something I'm familiar with, like in terms of like that you do that. Mm-hmm. But when you add in the word community, it feels like there's a lot of Venn diagram now going on because I guess with our project we can sum it up like that.
Yeah.
But I know that you're doing it in a completely different, from a different angle. Mm-hmm. So economic, which I want to understand better,
Yeah.
I can kind of get what you're doing in a way, maybe.
Let's see.
Um,
What do you think I
mean,
do?
You said strategic planning at the end of the year.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? So I imagine that depending on who it is that you're doing this for, and it's on the city level, right?
Actually, no, it's bigger than that, man. I obviously care about my community and that's my primary focus, but we're looking kind of nationally out here.
Damn.
Yeah.
You're doing these reports, you're understanding what's going on throughout the entirety of the year, and you're planning on how to maybe spend less money, make more money, generate maybe more money for other people, whoever it is that you're trying to like serve. That's what I would imagine is like easy things to say about what you do as an outsider. But as community development, that could be, you know, like community is a lot of things. Economics, you start immediately thinking money, 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 or something like that. But community is like, well, what aspect of community development are you doing?
Yeah, so I think maybe to separate the two a little bit more. So when
Do you separate them normally, or are you only doing it here? Like, does it normally just live together for you?
No, I think there's a pretty solid like cut between the two, even though they both interact with one another. And so for economic development, think businesses relocating to a community or expanding in a community. So let's say, actually, like Amazon, you know, a couple of years ago, how they did a big announcement, we're going to be doing our next headquarters. I don't know if you all maybe noticed, but a bunch of communities were putting in proposals telling Amazon, hey, come to our community, here's why. They look at a range of things. How much does your land cost? How much is rent? Do you have the workforce for it? What is the cost of doing business? What are your incentives look like? Logistically, where are you? Is it going to make sense for us to actually keep our operations there? And so for economic development, it was very business focused and how that business will then impact the community.
You're serving the community.
Yes.
Not so much the business.
No, so in economic development, you are serving the business to benefit the community. And so, for instance, in my work, we would work on these proposals, we would host companies, and we would showcase the best that our region has to offer, because we know if we get some of these large companies here, then that's an opportunity for us to address the brain drain. People can get higher wages, more people can get jobs. And what I think could actually add a lot of strain on people is just making sure that with these big businesses, you contribute to the tax base, so you relieve some of those costs from the resident. So, yeah, really, it's really helping to make sure that a business is comfortable moving to a community. But again, this all has to make business sense. A business isn't just going to come somewhere because they can. Like, they need to keep it alive.
Was Amazon an obvious, like, was El Paso, do you think wait, how involved were you? Are you just using it as an example, or were you pretty involved in something like that?
Well, actually, so check this out. So when Amazon did their announcement years ago, every community put in a proposal, even if
communities, you're talking like the East Lake Estates, the Horizon area.
no, so like I'm saying El Paso as an as like a community, or Las Cruces as a community, Denver, New York, Seattle, all of these communities have an economic development entity. Okay. And what they'll do is they'll create these proposals and submit it to the company, and then they'll look at all their metrics, just compare everybody, and then decide which is the right one. But so El Paso submitted an application for
You,
HQ,
Paso.
but we didn't win, right? But what came out of it is because our information was submitted, we were now on their radar. And so even though like the first try might not work, we're in their portfolio now, and now you'll see that there's an Amazon out here, it's just awesome, right? Because you put in that seed hoping for it to develop, and then we maintain relationships with what are called site selectors so that they keep us in mind when companies are trying to decide where to go.
Is population like one of the main things you look at?
Yeah, and so what I would specifically do was work with really large companies, like think manufacturers, like Fortune 500 companies. But I know people will say things like, why don't we have a cheesecake factory? Why don't we have an IKEA?
We need a Pluckers, damn it.
Yeah, like why don't we have some of these types of shops?
In and out.
And what they do is it really depends on what is the average income of the population, and then how many people do you have there. And what's difficult when you're looking at it from a data perspective is that they only see El Paso. They don't recognize that like Las Cruces is right here, or that we have a lot of people coming in from Juarez. And so it's not the site consultant's like fault, but it's just that's the way that the data is set up, because we are 3 states and 2 nations worth of people in this small-ish geographic area.
Is it pretty black and white then when they're selecting sites, or where does all that extra context fit in?
Yeah, so typically these site selectors will get hundreds of applications from communities, and so they will whittle it down. Like there'll be like a couple of non-negotiables, and if you make it past that non-negotiable section, then the company will come and visit. And so that's where we get to host them, show them how our community is, introduce them to the people, and like actually give them a chance to get a taste of El Paso. And really when we get to that point in the process, that's where we shine, because that's where our people are able to really show themselves off.
Dang. So El Paso on its own, do you think it's pretty good at being one of those non-negotiables? Oh, wait. Do you say non-negotiable in a good way or a bad way?
Well, I think that actually has to play a little bit more into, do we have the right facility size? Are we like in the right place on the map geographically where they have maybe a supplier that's kind of close? Do we have
Oh, yeah, true.
like XY workforce, right? What I hope people are like noticing is that there's actually a lot of construction happening in our community. So I know like when you're going more towards the east side, you'll see a lot of these new facilities, industrial facilities going up, because that's opportunities for us economic developers to now put that out there so that site consultants can know, hey, there's actually 4 facilities in El Paso. Let's go check them out. Do they have the right workforce? What's the cost of doing business? So having the facilities is actually one of the major barriers. But thankfully, I think the developers here are trying to address that.
Dang. So with something like this, though, does any business or any person that's going to be occupying a building or some sort of space within the city have to go through an economic developer, or is this really only when big companies come in?
So, yeah, I think it really ranges. So I know that like our economic development teams typically try to support like these larger companies, because basically the time that's being put in, you'll get hundreds, if not thousands of jobs for the time that's put into it, right? And so, yeah, I think that's kind of the range of groups we go for. But also, we don't just help really anybody, right? We want to make sure, and I think that's what I especially appreciated about the nonprofit, was that we wanted to support companies that were going to pay either at the average wage in El Paso or Las Cruces or in Juarez, because we represented all 3 areas, the average wage here or higher, because we wanted to make sure that we weren't contributing to this like low wage kind of idea that people may think of when they
And that's
come here.
something you guys decide, because like you could easily be like, nah, screw it, like come in, pay minimum wage if you want. Like,
Yeah.
you could go that route if you wanted to.
Well, also, I think the market will show that is not a possibility here, but you know,
Checks
it's
and balances.
for sure. There's a lot of that.
Yeah. So then when you say that you're gonna split it, have we just been talking about the economic side this whole
Yeah,
time?
that's all we've been talking about so
Dang,
far.
okay, because it does sound like a lot of this is still community development, like
Yeah.
all the way.
Yeah, so what I think the differentiating part about economic development and community development is how we approach community development is trying to, you look at the economy and there's people who are doing really well and there are people who might not be doing so hot. And so how do we bring these people that might be having a harder time into a position where they can participate in the economy a lot easier and just like have that relief that, hey, everything's okay. We obviously don't want anybody to be under the stress of just not having the adequate income or maybe not having the resources to like live a good life. Mm-hmm. And so with community development, you'll think of the realm of like workforce development and education. Think about small business development. Think about affordable housing, or what I specialize in is critical infrastructure development. And so we want to make sure that we help, again, like more low-income people get to a better position because we know that the economy will do well if everybody's doing well.
What does that look like then? How do you get someone to a better position? Does that mean like a promotion? Or are you trying to like get them into a better house? What position is that?
Yeah, so in the role I'm currently in, which is as a community developer.
Sorry. Also,
yeah.
Economic development, you're kind of working with businesses and community cities as a whole. Community, is this more on like an individual level or maybe like a neighborhood level? Like what level is this on?
So I think a really good example of this I'll just kind of dive into what I mean for like critical infrastructure because I think it'll help paint the picture a little better.
Oh, thank you.
So for critical infrastructure, right, I specialize in broadband infrastructure. So if you can believe it, there are people, even though it's 2024, that don't have access to the internet. And even in the lower valley, 1 in 4 people don't have access. When you look into Doña Ana County,
that's really the number?
Yeah.
I didn't know it was that high.
When you look at Doña Ana County, actually the numbers are very similar. And so you have this group of people who are not able to participate in the economy, even though you guys were always on our phones. You can access banking this way. You sign up to go to the doctor. Turn on your brand new, beautiful car.
Yep. I knew I was gonna fit it in this. Okay. Oh yeah, hey, shout out to my dog JJ Arms, man. Rest in peace. One time.
I like how I'm from car to rip to like let's go back to
the internet. That's so good.
Goodness.
That's gold.
Yeah. So internet people don't have access. Sorry. Okay. So we know where
My bad, Casey.
How can I be serious? Like people need help. Homies out.
JJ Arms. Man. Damn.
R.I.P.
No, but okay. So really quick of a side question: the 1 in 4. Are you counting the Lower Valley as like freaking Donovan still, all the way to like Socorro, or?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a really huge space.
Yeah, so basically everything below I-10, what's between I-10 and the border, and then like going it down into Fabens, Tornillo, Sanelli.
How west does that go?
East?
No, west, because east I'd imagine, it's Fabens and Tornillo, but west, does it go to like Donovan, Sunland area?
So I think we're thinking more of like the state line, kind of like Canotillo, like basically as soon as you start exiting parts of the city limit.
Wow, okay.
But even like if you
Much
look
bigger
in
Lower Valley than what
even if you look at like more central downtownish El Paso, people don't have access either. It's just the infrastructure is so old.
Okay, yeah, I was wondering why,
Or I feel like I'm gonna get technical, so divert me if not.
Oh, that's okay.
But like you'll know what we've noticed is that people right there along the border, they're actually having interference. So the internet connection that's coming from maybe like a wireless connection, right? I'm not talking about fiber, but the wireless connection that's in Juarez is actually interfering with the US. So like there's this meshing and people can't stay connected. Mm-hmm. How do you address that though? That's so unique to what we're dealing with. And putting in fiber is...
Are you saying how do you address it? Because like it involves so much international stuff at this point?
International stuff, you have to think about like how are you going to get some of this? Are you going to put fiber in these homes? Are you going to continue to keep it on like a network kind of situation?
And fiber is one of those things where they're really only putting it in like higher income places, right? Or no?
Not necessarily. I think it's definitely going in new development because the ground is already torn up, but it's just how do you need to, one, make sure that the internet service provider knows exactly where their own infrastructure is, and then if they know, okay, how do we know? And then how do we let them know, hey, you probably should put fiber because these people can't connect. But going back to like how this affects like a resident, right? So we'll know like where the pockets of needs are in El Paso, and for example. But the thing is that when you're trying to address an infrastructure issue, this costs millions of dollars. And this is millions of dollars so that people can have what we consider maybe a basic utility. And a basic utility that's needed for just even doing homework. During COVID, we were getting stories, and because we were out there and working with the schools. And I remember there was one story where a little kid, I want to say he was a first grader, the mom would drive him outside of the school, and he would sit outside in, I think it was maybe the Fabens area. He would sit outside his school, he would take off his shoe, put it right there, like put it on a little table, put on his mom's iPhone, and then do his schoolwork outside while it's blazing hot because he didn't have access to the internet at his house. He had to get as close to the school as possible. So imagine, people might, when we're talking about, this is just a lack of resource, right? Some people can just do it from the comfort of their home, while other kids, a little kid.
When I was a little kid, I didn't even have to worry about the internet.
No, and there was even another story out in, I want to say it was the Sunland Park area, where a girl could not connect to her online classes. And she was trying, but the internet was bad, to the point where the police came to the house because the girl wasn't logging in to class. But it's because she could not get that connection.
Damn.
And so the grandma actually had to send the girl to Albuquerque to go live with other family so that she could actually do her schoolwork. And so it's not as simple as getting somebody a promotion or like helping them get a job. Like, this is truly like the foundations of how do you set somebody up for success, you know?
Yeah. Damn. Mm-hmm. You've been in this pre-COVID as well?
I started, like, there was a blending between economic development and community development, when COVID happened. Because before I was focusing primarily on businesses, but then when COVID happened, I was like, well, how am I going to get my workforce? And then that's when I was like, okay, we really need to start working on making sure that people can even access the internet.
Okay, so then, what did you call your position? What did you call your focus? The internet part? What was it called?
So I work on
infrastructure.
Critical infrastructure,
Critical infrastructure. This happens post-COVID now. Like, that focus of it happens. My question being, you've been able to see, like, probably a really good detailed view of the impact of what that was, right? For, like, 2020 and some of 2021?
Yeah, so this issue has happened before COVID, and that's the saddest part, is that it took a pandemic for us to recognize that we needed to get people connected. But thankfully, out of the pandemic, multiple organizations, communities have all come to really try and address the issue in their area. But like I mentioned, for critical infrastructure, it takes millions of dollars to address the issue. And so what happens is you need to start working with the state. You need to start working on a national level to try and pull dollars to communities that need it the most. And the hardest part is that a lot of communities, they don't have the capacity to even apply for grants. They don't have the technical knowledge in some cases to be able to create these plans to develop the infrastructure. And so that's where we come in to try and provide them that technical assistance. Hey, these are the steps you need to take. This is how your community can start making progress in this area. But it's just how it goes. And the thing is that I feel for people, because I will, like, let's say I'll talk to them. We have like these focus groups, right? We're talking with residents. Hey, what are the issues you're facing? It's not only not having access to the internet. Some people don't have a laptop, or people like older individuals, they don't know how to even use the internet besides texting. So you have to like bring them up to speed for all this. So it's like a 3-prong issue that we need to address. So, but it's just how it goes. And the thing is that I feel for people, because I will, like, let's say I'll talk to them. We have like these focus groups, right? We're talking with residents. Hey, what are the issues you're facing? It's not only not having access to the internet. Some people don't have a laptop, or people like older individuals, they don't know how to even use the internet besides texting. So you have to like bring them up to speed for all this. So it's like a 3-prong issue that we need to address. it takes time. And when I'm talking to them, I'm like, thank you for sharing. And I will take this information, give it to state offices, share it at a national level. We do publications as well. But the thing is that I can share about it, we can push, we can share, we can do all of this stuff, but it takes time. It takes years. And the thing that stinks is that the way I look at things developing, just because when I see things, projects take 2, 3 years, 10 years in some cases, but for that individual who's struggling, every single week can be frustrating. So it's difficult to find that space. And so we're always trying to work really, really hard to help bring progress to this, but that's where there's that mismatch. And having to maintain a good relationship with the community is something that we always want to do, and we'll be very transparent, but that's just the way things roll, unfortunately.
Also, sometimes you'll get some like criticism.
Yeah. So for instance, we were there was like an open forum out in Doña Ana, right? They had a focus group asking people to come and talk about their issues with the internet. And somebody said, hey, like, my kids, by the time you actually want to build maybe the infrastructure out to my house, my kids aren't even going to be in high school anymore. They're not going to be living with me. And so it's just a very different timeline. Yeah. And, like, we completely understand his frustrations. And I think that's what we as community or economic developers or people who might, like, and I don't work for a municipality, but like I can understand like.
So I don't take the calls.
Yeah, it's just I have so much empathy, right? Because like I see their point, but I wish I could explain to them why it's taking so long. It's just there's just so much need also.
Mm-hmm. What does maybe some of the needs of other communities that aren't struggling with internet look like? Like what does other critical infrastructure needs look like?
Aside from the internet?
Yeah, like so as a result of what you just explained, like does most of your focus end up being towards maybe lower income communities, or do you ever find yourself still having to serve the same for like Upper Valley or the new East Side developing city communities where like, you know, there's higher income?
Yeah, I think with community development, the nature of the issues do just tend to lean more towards lower to mid income individuals, and so that's what happens. But again, I think like broadband is not the only critical infrastructure. Like the energy transition's happening right now. How are we going to make sure that homes are energy efficient when people are just trying to make sure they can pay for gas? Right? It's not like anybody's thinking, oh, let me make sure that there's like no air.
Let me pay for this solar.
Yeah. So it's just finding that middle ground. And even in some parts of the U.S., people don't have water.
Yeah.
They have to go and fill up water tanks. And so I think we're really just trying to make sure that the foundation of what people are working with is solid enough so that it's not something they have to think about. If you don't have to think about the water being good or like being like you can drink it, then that's like a solid infrastructure. You know, obviously there's room for improvement, but it's not bad.
Man, that's such a good way to put it, because I've worded us getting funds for our project in a similar manner. As soon as we finally got funds from the city sponsors, shout out my dog Drew, shout out Creative El Paso. But as soon as that happened, it freed up all this room to just be more creative. Because now we weren't burdened down by like how are we gonna afford each episode and everything. So I completely understand. Oh, now we have clean water. Now every morning I don't have to worry about filtering the water every morning for my kids' baths and stuff like that. So when it comes to the downtown area not having internet and you saying old buildings, is it because they have to break through the floor? Is all this running through the floor?
Okay, yeah. So there's just...
Let's get real technical then. Like,
all right.
how much of this? How much have you learned about all this on the tech side? Like, it's like where it runs, the sockets that is going through every building.
I'd say I'm pretty dangerous.
Oh shit!
Because when I'm in a room with anybody, I need to be able to like know what I'm talking about. I'm representing the communities that we're trying to serve, so I gotta know what's going on. Anyway, real high level stuff. So if you're looking here in our area, there's a couple of things you're dealing with. You're dealing with just our terrain, right? We got a big old mountain crossing right in between us. That'll have interference. You also have wind, which can get, pretty intense in certain parts of the year. And so when you're thinking of wireless, putting up some sort of wireless technology on a house, well, there it goes, right? So having to figure out how to make sure that stays on. The radius at which the internet is able to connect from these wireless devices also is limited. And then, let's say we're talking about fiber, right? And putting that, directly in the homes. A lot of the houses are historical. The material that the walls are made of don't allow the internet to go through, and so you'll have a lot of these delays. There's even a historical building downtown where you have to literally bust out the plan of the building and be like, all right, maybe we can put a little hole here so that we can connect this here to just get it from internet on the 5th floor versus the 3rd floor. So it's just, it takes a lot of time to think through this, especially with old buildings.
You have to consider the towers that are around you too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's the reason why you're limited with the internet, right? It's not so much you're just getting. It's just that's the only option here because of towers, right?
It's
Similar.
They didn't tell me why, but yeah, there's not really good internet here. Kind of I don't know if it's by design, but it's for sure AT&T is yeah, this is the best we can do.
So can you explain what fiber is to me?
Yeah.
As opposed to what traditional internet is?
So I think fiber is the most long-term solution for getting people connected to the internet. So basically, you dig there's a trench, right, on your sidewalk, and there's water, there's gas, electricity, and then there's a little there's a little one for broadband for fiber. And so what you do is you basically take the cord and then you connect it directly to the house, and then you'll have your own modem, and then your house will have direct connection because you have that direct link to basically the wire that connects to all the internet. But some people and some communities,
This isn't the same as Ethernet, because Ethernet is connected internet, right?
yeah.
But that's just connected to your modem. Now your
But
modem.
your modem should be connected to fiber. If it's not connected to fiber, you're likely connected to a wireless system. And if it's wireless, you're not the only one on that link anymore. Sometimes in communities, you'll have whole sections of a community linked up to this one wireless connection for a community. And so imagine, in my old house, oh my God, the internet would always slow down at a particular hour, and I'll be please, I need to go on a meeting.
It's Call of
Why
Duty
is the internet
time.
not working? I know, while somebody over here
Just gaming
doing
it
Call
up.
of Duty. And they're no, there's no outages, there's no nothing. It's just there's too many people on the network. So it's just it doesn't connect as easily.
So fiber's having Ethernet to the freaking internet.
Fiber's having
That makes
direct
sense.
connection so that you can do what you need to do with the internet. A wireless network, multiple people are on it, but you're still getting that connection.
Did technology outpace city infrastructure, or did city infrastructure just not keep up?
Well, really, I think
That's a dark question.
that is,
Just kidding,
but
it's
also
deep, but not
El
dark.
Paso's so old.
Yeah.
There was of course, technology was going to surpass the rate at which we developed the community, because who's to say what's the next big thing that we're going to have to include in our critical infrastructure, right, that we haven't even thought of yet. Some people
Electronic cars, electronic gas pumps.
yeah,
Would
and
that
that's something
count?
and that's what economic developers are doing too. They're trying to place out, okay, where do we need to put some of these electric charging
Oh,
stations?
but that would probably fall more under transportation than what you're doing.
No, so the thing is that economic developers are connected with everybody. We're connected with the city, the county, all the nonprofits in the area, TxDOT, New Mexico Dot, right? The state, everybody's working together to make this all work. And so that's why it takes a bit of time, because you're hey, so-and-so, do we have approval to do this? Oh, actually, it takes 30 days for us to approve this and this. Oh, okay, well, I'll let these people know. Hey, utility, do you actually have the infrastructure so we could do it? Oh, no, we're actually not going to develop that out for another 2 years. Will the company be fine with that? Oh, yeah, that lines up because their construction doesn't start for another 3 years. It's
Jeez,
a
man.
lot of just layering on layering and layering. And so what I appreciated about this role is that I really gotten to see the whole range of who's involved in what to make sure that that new facility is built so that somebody can get a job. But not only once that person gets a job, do they then have affordable childcare? Do they have transportation? It's just, it keeps on layering onto one another. So it's basically, what part of the layering system do you want to be a part of? And so before I was with the business and the utilities to make it work. Now I'm in this new blended area of making sure people have the resources to participate in the economy.
The people, do you consider them one of the layers?
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah.
If you do not have community buy-in, then you're done for. Completely. And I think
So like I could be like, oh, great, like I'm contributing to this entire thing by simply being the people. That's
Yeah.
fine. Like
Oh,
I'll play that.
1,000%.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would actually emphasize, there was a woman that I'm on the board with, and she's a resident. And I remember during that meeting, I was sharing quite a bit about things that we needed to do to look at just like the finances for the group, right? And I had made a recommendation that we include in some of our board packaging to have the person identify, like, are they a business person? Like, are they a teacher? Are they X, Y, or Z, right? So that we can know the level of expertise that's going to come and play into our board. And she had mentioned that if we set it up in such a way, then, like, do you need me, a resident, to be on your board? And I said, of course. And I hope that it doesn't, I'm not implying that your voice is not needed. You're actually the most needed, because what happens is, when we're in this cycle, like I said, we're thinking 2, 5, 10 years ahead. And so we can get like a little bit of tunnel vision. But that doesn't mean that, like, that's why we need residents to be like, hey guys, this is like what's actually happening. I know you guys are planning really far ahead, but is there something we can do now? And this is what we can do now. So yeah, it's just, they help, I think, ground a lot of what we need to do, because they're ultimately like our customer at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, they're the ones who are like they're the ones who are experiencing the direct consequences of every decision.
Yeah. Or benefit.
Yeah, sorry. I thought consequence would be like a
Yeah.
either good or bad way. Okay, let me ask something that changes a little bit of direction, but looking far ahead
Yeah.
with your career, and it's a skill that you need to have for these sorts of plans. Do you think it's a skill that you've built through your career, or do you think you've been able to integrate into your career well because you yourself plan your life like further ahead versus the person who just lives by the day?
Okay, so I know it might seem like I've got my whole... Okay, I know I did start off by saying that I have kind of the whole year plan. But the thing is that I think I've been able to do fairly well in these two areas is because I'm actually very adaptable. You throw me into a meeting with a group of people who have real strong opinions about what we need, I'm fine. Like, I'll listen. Like, let's make it happen. You need me to write a publication, I'll do it. You need me to run a project, I'll do it. And so, like, the thing is that I've... Actually, this is kind of bad. So ever since I was little, I really thought I can kind of do anything. And as I've gotten older,
Me too.
I've come to realize that I can't do everything, but I can actually do a lot. And so I think,
haven't come
like,
to that realization yet.
you just wait, man. It'll hit ya. So that's why I'm like, oh, Casey, can you do this? Yeah, sure, why not? And if I don't know how, okay, well, like, let's figure it out. It's not like somebody's been able to do it. I might as well be me too. So yeah, I think adaptability. And it really, I think, depends on the person's personality, right? I don't expect everybody to be adaptable. Sometimes there's people that are just good at staying at a consistent rate with a very, like a job that you kind of do a similar thing. But like for me, nah, I want every day to be different. So even though every day's planned this year, every day is still different.
Okay. The year's planned. But how do you go about when you set goals that are a little bit further ahead? Are you the type to revisit them often, or do you go down the path of like, okay, I set the goal, but it's there. Like, I'm not gonna get it today. I'm not gonna get it tomorrow. So you kind of just tuck it in the back of your head. And how do you go about lifelong plans? with your personal growth?
Oh, so personal?
I mean, obviously career plays into it,
Yeah.
but career ends up when you're looking at it in that sense, it becomes a smaller component of like a lot more things. Your health, your own personal finances and stuff.
Yeah.
So when these long-term goals, how do you approach those?
Yeah, so I think for my own personal development, one thing I like to do, I'm, of course, very much, New Year's people. There's those New Year's people.
Yes.
I'm one of those New Year's people.
Yes, thank you.
So what I've done is
We need more.
I'm just saying. But, like, everybody's their own person. No, what I've come to learn and what I've been trying to do even with my siblings is at the beginning of the year, we'll come together. We'll create this plan. And we will kind of do a scale 0 to 10 and rank where we currently feel on like a range of things. How do I feel health-wise? How do I feel with my relationships? Financially, spiritually, XYZ, right? Like let's say health-wise, I feel like I'm a 5. All right, I feel like I'm a 5. And then we do a second dot. Where do you want to be at the end of the year? Do you move up 2 spots? Do you move up 1 spot? So it really just visualizes what's going to be some of your primary focus for that year. And then below that, we put what's your number one thing that you want to get done this year? And then after that, what are 2 other things that would be nice to haves? And then under that, like, how do you want to feel? Right? And so the thing is that, and I put it like on my fridge. So each day, like, even though I'm not constantly like analyzing it, I have a general sense of, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
like,
in your vicinity.
Yeah. So I can reference it. And obviously there are things that I'll achieve, but even if I just achieve one thing on there, if I move one like spot over, it's a success. You've improved. And I think a lot of people that might be like a little bit more achievement based, it's like a really good way to visualize it, but also can have a detriment, right? Because if you don't achieve everything you want, then you kind of like put yourself down. But no, I think that's just a mindset change. And I think honestly it takes age to like get to the point where you're content that you've made a little bit of progress because you have so much going on,
When you scale it down to the days versus, okay, you plan out a year. Oh, man. By the way, great way to plan your year. But how do you... Hold on. Before I get to that one, I got that one tucked in real quick.
Oh, shoot.
But, okay, you're at a 5, let's say, with your finances.
Yeah.
And as bad as you want to be like, okay, I want to be at 10 this next year, how do you...
No, that's unreal.
How do you do that, though? How do you gauge that? How do you... what's the word?
How are you truthful with yourself?
Yeah, how do you manage those expectations and your own capabilities?
Yeah, and I think that if you, like, look at the big picture, if you want to...
That's true.
You can't. Like, if you want to get from a 5 to a 10, then everything else is actually going to start to go down because you're not giving it the amount of attention it needs. Because what you're doing at the beginning of the year is you're like, okay, where am I now? Why am I there? Okay, what's, like, a reasonable place to be at? And, maybe, like, the finances piece can be a little bit different, though, because that can just be, like, habits. Are you reducing the number of times that you're buying drinks? Are you like not eating out as much? Are you putting away maybe a little bit, like $5 more away in your savings every time? Just little changes that can be made. But when you're looking at something like health, okay, that's a whole thing. Do you need to change the way you eat? Are you sleeping on time? Are you working out? So it's just figuring out which bucket. Maybe you'll have a primary focus, but I think it's difficult, I think, to make a 5 to a 10. But I think I tried to find a nice middle ground for it, of course. And like for me this year, I put that I want to set up systems in my life to make things easier.
Fuck, man. These are good systems.
Check it out.
Systems,
so,
man.
Okay, am I meal prepping? Am I getting my clothes ready maybe like on a Sunday? So that the rest of the week I can be a happy-go-lucky person, like little things here and there. Are all of my bills on an automatic payment system? Less decisions, get rid of the decision fatigue. That's all you got to do. There's so many things that are on people's minds. You have a notebook by your bed. So you're just writing down all those thoughts that you're having before you go to sleep that you're going to be dreaming about and wondering, oh my God, why do I not feel like I had good sleep last night? So just like finding little little ways to make your life easier.
Yeah.
Is this only possible with people who know how to forgive themselves?
No, I think a very unforgiving person can do this. You can achieve a lot, but it just depends how you're going to feel at the end of the day, or I should say at the end of the year.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like being unforgiving doesn't stop you from achieving what you want to do, but it might make you less appreciative of each of those milestones that you go on about.
Yeah.
You know, because then you might just be hard on yourself thinking you could have done it better. Like, yeah, I got it done, but now you're not satisfied with the results because you're just constantly thinking, like, just being hard. And I feel like at that point, it ends up defeating the purpose of achieving, like, everything that you're trying to achieve.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I feel like it's easy for you to go from a 5 to a 7 and hold off on that 10 that you know is going to take a little bit longer when you do look at that bigger picture. Because then if you can see 5 years from now the plans to get here, then if you get there in a year, it's like, well, what are you going to do the other 4 years?
Yeah.
You know, like what more growth is there? So when you're able to zoom in and out at that, like at your own will of the picture, then I think that's when you're able to understand things take time. Do you think then that people are really bad at just always looking at the big picture, and that's why it's hard for them to go day by day on things?
Yeah, I really do think it just depends on the person's personality. Sometimes people, they do better when things aren't like super structured. There are people who really just want to live their days and be, all right, let's like go with the flow. Or I'm content like going home after work, relaxing, doing my thing and all that sort of stuff. But I just know that there's certain kinds of people that feel like, all right, we got to really make the most out of every single day and like let's try and improve and let's do this and let's do that. So I think
sounds like me sometimes.
I think this like little exercise would be more tailored to them, though I would encourage somebody who might not have put maybe as much thought on a regular basis about this to be, hey, give it a try. Let's see like what actually ends up happening.
Yeah. So let's consider this a spectrum of gotta be on it all the time versus it's chill, dude.
Yeah.
Light up a bowl. But where do you feel like you lean on this side of the fence? I feel like understandably and in a nice way, you lean more on the let's get shit done sort of side. But how much room do you personally like to leave for, let's call it like mindless just living?
Oh my God. Well, welcome to
Letting
2024 where I've been having my own revelations.
Letting life run its course.
You know, I think I've lived the majority of my life being a very goal-oriented person, and that has been I've really benefited from that, but I've noticed that I need to tone it down because people can't be on all the time. It's completely unrealistic. The great thing about being young, and I will not divulge my age. I just kidding. Everybody guess.
Engagement. Comments. Let's go.
But when you're younger, you have so much energy. You have so much, like, it's just totally different. And you're, like, fresh and you're new and you're like, this is exciting. We're learning all this stuff. We're doing all this stuff. But I think there comes a point in time where your body's like, wow, you've been like, not sleeping. And you've been running on a lot of caffeine. I know people are out here doing their Celsius situation. And I'm just like, honestly, guys, have you gotten 8 hours of sleep? Maybe 7, even 6? Can, like, we not do this whole 5-hour sleeping pattern? Because you're hurting yourself.
Da Vinci only took 4 30-minute
Yes,
naps.
but he had, like, an interesting, like, genetic system, bro. I'm just saying, like, I think we all need to come to realize, like, for people that might be really putting in too much time into their work, that you are, for example, you know, like in those Western movies where they'll jump on the horse and they're like, we need to get to a destination really quick. They're like literally beating the horse and they're running for days to the point where the horse is panting and like it gives out and like goes and it dies. You don't want to get to that point. You want to make sure you take a break, rest yourself up, because you're not going to be able to make the journey if you don't put in the time to making sure that you're doing well.
Yeah. Like, you got to make it sustainable.
Right. And the thing is that it has not been sustainable. And now I'm like coming to realize, hey, you know what? Maybe my Saturdays don't need to be packed. Maybe I can just go and I can read my book and be content with it. But then again, that's just like having to retrain yourself. And that's the great thing about human beings. We can always adapt and we can change. So if I need to take better care of my body, well, alrighty, we got to slow the horse down. Bring out the snacks.
Do you think most people don't know that they're living like that?
Yeah, I think they're like numbing themselves in a number of ways, right? There's a bunch of sleep procrastination, or if you scrolling on your phone right before bed. And honestly, I'm talking as if I don't do some of these things. Like I scroll sometimes before bed, and that has become a bad habit. I actually did not have social media for like 3 years, and then oh my gosh, my interest was peaked, so I got back on it, and now I can't like now I'm there at night. Anyway,
Damn.
darn it, got me. Yeah, no, like, are you scrolling before bed? Okay, that's negatively impacting you. How much caffeine are you intaking? How dependent are you on your energy drinks? Like, keep all those things in mind. Like, one challenge I would, like, if you want to see if you're dependent on something, literally challenge yourself, can I do a week without having this? Can you be off of your phone? Can you, like, delete Instagram? Can you delete YouTube, TikTok for a week?
No.
Well, then you're addicted. Can you like not have your energy drink or your coffee for a week? That's the thing. So I don't know, like there's been a lot of things that I've tried to cut out of my life, and it's actually helped me out. Like if I'm tired, it's because I'm tired and I'm hearing my body say, girl, it is time to go to sleep.
Versus you used to fight that or what?
Oh yeah.
So what, cram more work in?
Oh my gosh, there was a period before where I was trying to be the person that would only sleep for 5 hours a day. I was really trying. I was like reading all this stuff. I was like staying up, like I had it planned out.
You're reading articles that
I'm like,
justify it.
hello, yes. But then now it's hit me that I haven't slept all that time, that I was running myself to like what I did. And now, this is what's happening. So just got to we have to make an adjustment, or it's not, like you said, going to be sustainable.
Damn, yeah, sustainable. You can go all out. One of the things that I noticed I said maybe like 3 weeks ago, it was work related, and I think I used, because I came into this meeting a little abrasive, and I just came at it full force. And I think I ruined the potential of what could have happened with the meeting. You know, a lot of ideas got left on the table just because everything got weird. With how like I was just ready, 100%. You know.
Yeah.
And one of the the things I said later to justify it was, right now in life, everything that I'm involved in, like I really care about deeply, and I think to a fault. That means that there's really no moments of just like mundane stuff that I'm thinking about. So, like, almost every thought I'm having is related to something I'm very passionate about, and I think it got the best of me in that moment. But that's me justifying being on all the time. But I don't think it's so much that I'm on all the time. I think it's just that I haven't allowed for things in my life that are giving me negative points. So even when I do have time to kill, I'm choosing to do it in something that's not destructive no more. Because it used to be, let's go hit up Tin Man real quick. And then Tin Man always turns into, you know, just a lot.
X, Y, or Z happening.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So, you know, I feel like it's partly justification, but it's also part like, But I've also had moments in meetings and stuff where I come at people a little hot.
A little strong?
Yeah, a little strong.
Oh my goodness.
So I don't know if it's so much about everything in my life I'm really, you know, happy about and content with. So as a result, it might lead me to be a little extra passionate and stuff. Because it was before also when I felt like I had no direction. There was points where I felt like I was lost with that, and yet I was still showing frustration. But maybe it was coming from a different place. Maybe it was coming from like, I don't know where I'm gonna go.
Oh.
I don't know. Point being though is that like, I'm kind of navigating a little bit of, I'm trying to be on all the time.
Yeah, but to I think your point, are you trying to achieve all this stuff alone, or are you allowing people to actually help you get to where you want to be?
In certain parts, I mean, I feel like with MF, one of the best things I said to describe where I'm at right now is before my bad habits would creep into MF, but now my good habits from MF are creeping into like my personal life and stuff. And one of those habits is, as much as I do for MF, like I've always been really good at saying we, and I've always been really good at including everyone on the team with what we're doing. And so I think like there is where I've shown really good team like yeah, I'm down for the team. I need a team. I can't do it all myself. And now it's starting to creep into like my personal life a little bit better. But prior to that, no, I was always like, I wanted, like where I work right now, I'm trying to overcome that because there's a lot of moments where I feel like I'm the one who could do this the best.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to take it on. And I know that I at some point it's going to be, what is it, marginal?
Yeah.
So where it's like, at this point, it's actually starting to go down a little bit.
Yeah.
Just like you said with, you want to go from 5 to 10. Well, you're going to have to compromise some of those other things you're trying to like inch forward towards.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think with just going through that process, right? When allowing other people to like be a part of your journey, whether they be supportive, maybe not so supportive, or like in the funky middle, every single interaction that you have can truly be beneficial to like your own experience building. And so that's why, like, even as silly as it might sound, you don't only want the people that are like, oh yeah, you're doing amazing. You want the people who will be in disagreements with you, people who you feel like, oh my God, why are they doing it this way? I could totally do it better, because you're stripping them of the opportunity to have the experience to actually develop themselves. And you, and I'm not just saying you, I'm just saying like in this situation, like you would then not give yourself the opportunity to figure out how to navigate this awkward interaction or this awkward relationship that you have with somebody, because you're going to have that again. There's always going to be people out there that are going to be in that situation. So are you gaining the skill set, interacting with that person that's needed for you to use it again in the future?
Where do you fit in your teams? Are you in the leader areas? Is there leader areas, or is it really so blurred that it's hard to tell?
Well, I definitely have a manager, right? And but I think there is some blurring because I co-lead an initiative with another individual. And so like really we've just found a really nice blend of like what roles you take on, what roles do I take on, but we both have the comfortability of sharing where we want the direction of our project to go. And the thing is that I'm like leading communities to try and achieve a goal. And so I have to take on that leadership position, even though I'm not like a manager, right? So I have this leadership experience, but not in, I guess, what you would consider a typical manner.
But in those situations where like you do have to go ahead and like maybe run a focus group, or I'm assuming you've made presentations.
Oh yeah.
Maybe even keynotes. In those situations, do you think that you had to really, was that the learning curve for you through your career, or like what are some of those biggest learning? What areas have you had the most growth in?
It changes, like kind of in every period of my life. What I've noticed for the positions that I've been able to have is that I appreciate a job where my learning curve is extremely steep. So
Like being challenged.
Yes. And then once I get to the point where I feel like, hey, I actually feel like I'm comfortable, that's when I know it's time to move.
Okay.
And so that's why, like, I'm always open to a new experience because I know it will benefit me in the future, no matter whether I'm a contributor to a program, project, team, or if I'm the manager, because I understand the system a lot better. But I don't know. I think I started working on some of like my speaking. How do you even say it? Look, I'm trying to say that I've practiced my public speaking, but I can't say that I've practiced my public speaking. Since I was like in high school, there were just like little things here and there. Obviously it's grown. Really, public speaking only comes down to how confident you are. That's what you're really dealing with. But one thing that I think I've had to just start keeping more in my mind is I never want to be in a situation where I feel like I'm proving myself. I feel like I've already actually established myself. And how do you do that? Well, okay, how are you actually marketing yourself? What do people think when they think of Evan? What do they like? What comes to mind? What are like 3 things that you hope comes to mind when they think of Evan?
Creative.
Okay.
I know that that's one of the cheaper words, but it's so all encompassing of a lot of stuff. Accountable.
Mm-hmm.
And transparent. That can change tomorrow. But
Yeah.
I think those three things are top of mind.
Okay, because like that's the thing that no matter who you talk to, no matter what you do, it should connect to those three things. And so like for myself, I want to be known as a utility player, which is somebody who you can place in any spot and be able to accomplish it. I want to be a personable person. And also, I want to be an asker of good questions, right? I'm like critically thinking through a lot of stuff. And so that's why when I do a project, when I interact with people, I hope that those are some of the things that come to mind or show. And so when opportunities come, hey, Casey's a lady, you know? So I don't know. That's just one thing that it would actually be really nice if people kind of approach things in that way a lot earlier in their career versus like in the middle of the career and you actually have like a persona that people don't agree with what you're trying to like give off. So you have to do like a rebranding of yourself. Like, no, I think start as early as you can and figuring out what are like 3 major things that you want people to know you by. And then you start to build that brand for yourself.
Yeah, because once it's strong, like you have a lot of influence towards everything that you're trying to influence becomes a lot easier. Because like even your brand, like what I've learned so far through all of my learnings of it all is like you don't actually control your own brand. All you can do is just influence it as much as you can. But at the end of the day, your brand is what people see you as. So I can say transparent, creative, all I want, but if people are like, "No, that guy's an asshole," like then that's
That would be a pretty rough starting
that's
point
my
for
brand.
you. Yeah.
Oh, I gotta rebrand.
Dang.
It could be one of the 3 things I say though. I could just run with it.
Started off every podcast. Hey guys, just a reminder. These are my 3 things.
Yeah, for real. No, but I think it's super important to like be aware that all you're really doing is influencing it, and I
Yeah.
think that also keeps you like in control of like your own emotions a little bit too. Once I let go of a little bit of the control I try to have on like not just my brand but like the MF brand, because I consider that mine is just as much as it is a non-person,
Yeah.
But as I started to learn to let go of it more and more, that's when I think I started making decisions that were even truer to myself. Because I wasn't trying to control a narrative so much. I'm like, hey, look, they're already going to control it how it is, so I should just make the decision that's best for me. Because usually when I do that, that's when we have the most creative projects coming out or the most creative like poster coming out or whatever the case is. So, if I had a 4th one, it would be, and just for like another weak word, because I think creative was kind of like a cheap word.
Okay.
Fair but cheap. What was it? Accountable, transparency, and then I think it was aware. Trying to be aware.
Aware?
Authentic. Sorry, that was the word. Authentic.
Oh, okay.
Like you're getting you're truly getting like what I'm trying to convey. You're never getting a side message, and even if you are, it's what I want to convey. I'm just kidding. That's a cheap way to say that. But it's so much easier to just be yourself than trying to like fit into certain molds. Because at some point you get too deep into those molds, and sometimes they turn into big ugly monsters that become like second lives. You're living 2 lives now. You know what I mean? Not everything expands to that. Not everything gets that deep or whatever, but it can. And so I think that's one of the most important things, just being yourself. That's why if I could have that 4th word, I'll say that. But I think the other 3 are more important, because I think that's just a vague thing of being yourself. Like, where does that lead to, being yourself? What if you're freaking weird? Like, where's that going to go? Don't be yourself, dude. Stop. Stop.
I just think it's interesting that, and obviously people are going to be who they are going to be, but how strong do you think somebody needs to be in who they are when they go into a position? Like, what's your level of adaptability?
There's a slang for it called code switching. Have you ever heard of that?
Okay.
If a black man walks into a room and says, "What's up, my dog?" and all that stuff to another group of black men.
Oh, yeah.
But then he starts shaking hands and saying, hey man, or hey boss, or anything like that to a group of white people. That's like code switching. And I actually learned recently that people are starting to praise that. They think it's great because they think it's actually really important to be aware of the rooms you're in.
Yeah.
Not even just for something as simple as that, but more on bigger scales. Like, what if you're trying to like teach kids about the stock market? You're not going to tell them the same way you would tell a 30-year-old person.
Oh, finance, bro.
Yeah.
The combos are a little different.
Yeah, so it's just like it is actually, but I don't think that ends up becoming unauthentic. I think that just means you're aware of who you're talking to.
Okay.
So I think that's a thin line.
How do you?
How strong do you have to be in terms of the presence that you are, though? If you walk into a room and normally you're very like strong-minded and stuff, but you know that that's actually going to kick you out of the room immediately, I do think it's important to be aware and tone that back. So that's where I'm trying to practice that without losing authenticity, though. I don't want to seem over polite in a way where I'm being disingenuous at this point.
Evan, why don't you want to be super duper extra polite with people, huh?
Because not everyone deserves it.
No,
No,
why
not
not?
at all. Like, you might be an asshole to me, like taking my coffee order, and it's like, I'm not going to be kind to you. I'm
Why?
gonna be a little bit of a jerk after you give me my coffee, though. Because I don't want you to spit in it.
Give them a little grace, man. You don't know what they're going
Because
through.
I'm not perfect, Casey. I'm not perfect. So if my one flaw is I'm a big reiterator of energy, forgive me, Lord. I'm sorry.
He's
I'm
an
sorry.
asshole.
Yeah, the branding is looking a little rough right here.
This is the transparency. No, this is not. This is the transparency.
Right, no, right. We're
This is
addressing
transparency.
2
So all I
of the
could do,
5.
all I could do of the 8, all I could do is influence how transparent I am. But at the end of the day, people might take that for me being blunt, you know. And now it's a negative brand. But all I could do is strengthen it and trust in it, because if you just trust in your brand, I think that you're gonna end up. I lean more on the I want 1,000 true fans. So at the end of the day, I'm really down for a niche audience anyway. So that's what's also allowed me to be a little bit more, hey, if this ends up being a little bit more brash, not everyone's for it, that's all right. Because at the end of the day, I'll find that community that supports what we're trying to do. And what I'm trying to do on a personal level. Mm-hmm. All the personal brand is gonna build up as well. Right now, we're on a community level with MF. Mm-hmm. But I want to grow the Evan Romo brand as well, which is why we start the pod. Now there's a face. Now there's going to be faces.
Wait,
once
but
we get a
Evan,
camera.
you have like multiple names. Aren't you like Groovy Schmokes or something too?
Yeah, but I mean,
Persona. So right now your persona is Evan?
if you go to evanromo.com, you'll be able to completely see what I'm trying to accomplish with these multiple names and brands.
You like how we got the plug-in?
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate you. If you want to take the seat, you can. I'll just go into the guest spot. No, just kidding. But I guess to segue that, though, I just talked about how conscious I am of my brand and everything, and it goes down to what am I posting on social media and everything. Mm-hmm. You're in your career, and I know that you care about the brand, the foundations and everything are building, but how conscious of you are of your own brand? You said that you were learning a little bit about how to portray yourself and be more laxed because it ends up burning you out and all this stuff, but when you said earlier you had to learn how to, what have you learned? Like, how do you vision your brand?
Yeah, I think I've just become more conscious of it. I think I've
Obsessive?
No,
Just
definitely
conscious?
not.
'Cause
Just
there's-
conscious. Yeah, I don't think I hope I don't get to the point where it's like the only thing I think about. I think when I've approached who I am, it's always been I'm going to work as if, and I'm on the more religious side, so like I'm going to work as if I'm working for God, and if I work with that in mind, then I know that like I'm giving my best. And that means that every opportunity that I get, every interaction that I have, it's with that in mind. And so because of that, I feel like I've been able to maintain like some consistency in like how I'm showing up every day, how my brand is looking, and it's just like aligning nicely. I think me just becoming more conscious of this whole brand thing is just for the sake of moving up in an organization. So I feel like I've been consistent, but now I guess I need to put words to it so that I can tell everybody else.
Mm-hmm. You know how like you're not really much of a social media person? Mm-hmm. Does that sentence change when we're talking about like a LinkedIn though? Like, are you more like connected with your followers and stuff like that there though?
All of my followers.
Like, do you look at that as social media, or do you look at it whole, like, even though it is, do you see it different?
Oh, completely. On there, really it's just a resume, and I add things on there to like build the resume. I have
how I am on LinkedIn is how you are like on everything else, on an IG, for instance.
No, I actually am not as engaged in LinkedIn as I should be. But
Okay.
that's to say I'm the most engaged on my LinkedIn than all my coworkers, which just showcases that we're not actually all very engaged, even though we'll post when we're giving a conference, and we'll post when we'll have like our initiatives move forward, which is great. But I don't think put that much time into it. No, I'm not really on any social media because I came to realize a couple of years ago, and I really need to get back into the practice of just recognizing how much time I was putting in mindlessly scrolling, and ultimately you just
I bet that's driving you crazy.
it really does.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, oh my gosh, okay, an hour and a half has passed by. What could I have done? Like, there's things around the house. It could have been like actually resting versus like straining my poor eyes. And then what do I get out of it? Sure, I can keep up and see like which one of my friends are married, pregnant, or their SO is out of the picture, which is great for stories. But you know, I can always just get that when I talk with people. And so it also puts me in a position where when I talk with somebody, I can actually ask, hey, what have you been up to? Because
yeah,
I don't know that they've traveled to Europe, or I don't know that they've gone and XYZ did who knows what. Like, it's a lot more, wow, this is cool. What do you want to present to me?
Yeah, being so tapped into social media takes away the need to ever like meet up with anybody.
Yeah, but I really feel like if I wasn't on social media right now, I would have missed out on the whole demure situation. So, you know, there's things where I'm happy that I was connected for 2 seconds, but I do need to unplug again. So if anybody
you unplugged at
messages
the
me,
moment?
no. It's because I want to...
crazy shit right now.
I'm seeing a hippo, a baby hippo.
Oh, with flames.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
Yeah. No, I think we're getting different feeds. But...
Yeah, absolutely we are. Holy shit.
But no, it just stinks because that you can actually see like what's happening in El Paso or in our area by being on social media. So I don't always know what's happening. So I think that's like the little part of interest that I have. Like, oh, there's a show going on. I'd love to go because now I saw it on Instagram. But the reels, man, even just like
Don't go there.
it turns into it's a black hole.
Don't click on that tab.
I can't. Ah. Yeah.
Shows,
Shows.
whether they be music or art maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Is this an example of you learning to not pack your Saturdays and Sundays with so much work, or are the shows an example of you, maybe I could just stay home and read a little bit? Like, what is going out for shows and all that fall under? Is this your... Sorry, let you answer it. I don't think I formulated the question finally, though.
I was
Do you
waiting to
understand the
see
question?
what this turned into.
Do you understand the question at the moment?
Yeah, like why am I like out there instead of grinding?
No. Is this you like escaping the grind for a bit, or do you also consider that like part of the grind a little bit? You're like, damn, dude. Like even then, like I'm trying to always fit my Saturday with like a music show, and even though you're not the type to like drink or anything, that's still tiring to always go to shows every weekend and stuff. Is it? Maybe. I don't know. I'm not really much of a show goer, actually. I am the show.
Oh my gosh. No, I actually, if I were to go to shows all the time, I would get really bored. I like to try and just do something different each weekend. And so one time I went to the dog park, found a whole dog park community. There's like this pug, Bella, that won the Halloween costume contest last year. And I need my dog to show up and win first prize. So there's like that happened on like one weekend.
It's coming up.
I know. I don't know what to dress her up as.
What is she?
She's a miniature weenie dog.
Oh.
The black one with like the little eyebrows. Super cute. So any recommendations we appreciate. But it obviously can't be a hot dog, and it obviously can't be like something stereotypical. We need to beat Bella.
Man, if there was like a costume that you could put starting from the butt, and then like when you put it on, it was another head, so that would be cat dog. That'd go hard.
Okay.
It's long
Amazon,
enough.
here we come.
Weenie dog is long enough.
Yeah. So like there'll be that, or like this weekend I'm about to go with one of my more artsy creative friends. He's actually building like an art exhibition, and so we're going to be helping him assemble the stuff.
Oh, nice.
Or there's a DJ playing tomorrow night also, so we're going to be going to that. And just, yeah, kind of switching it up. Do you go for a hike one weekend? But like ultimately it is even just like a tad bit of work, because I need to represent my community, and if I don't know what's happening, even like on a what to do on your off time, like I have like a list of restaurant recommendations for people who aren't from here. I have like a list of, hey, what to do like when you come to El Paso for like a couple of days, and I
Yeah,
can only advocate if I actually do it
And
myself.
you're showing off the city.
I gotta show it off. So are you on the list of my show off list? So yeah, I don't know. It's just you only get one chance at a day. And how could you not take advantage of it? And that's what I'm having conflicts with. But I really do like my book. But it's like, do I do the book? Do I go out? Do I interact with people? Who am I? What am I going to do this time? Do I go into the anime? Who knows? Is this the weekend for it? Who knows? Or do I go and watch a movie? I don't know. You just got to keep things spicy.
Man. I was gonna say, so I feel like for you a day wasted is just tough. The thing is though is that you probably bounce back very well from any ever feeling like a day wasted. For me, whenever I've felt like that, whenever like the next day ends up becoming an even more of a day wasted because I'm just spending the day moping about how much the day before was a wasted day. Oh, it becomes a terrible vicious cycle. So, I guess what I'm trying to ask with that context is, how do you find yourself bouncing back from any moments of like, this isn't what life's supposed to be? You know what I mean? Like, how do you find yourself?
Existential dread?
Yeah, if that's how you want to word it too. Like, how do you ever feel that?
Say the what? I couldn't hear you say that.
Existential dread.
Oh, yeah.
That's where the headphones come in.
Oh, excuse-moi.
I'm just kidding.
I think it's inevitable. You're going to go through a period in your life where you're like, is this really all there is to it?
Did you see me just get into it?
Oh, no, I think it would be unreasonable for anybody to feel like you're going to go through it, expect to go through it, and know that you're going to make it out. But it's just, sometimes you really need to linger in there because it's like your body telling you, hey, maybe this isn't what you're supposed to be doing. Hey, maybe you shouldn't be on all the time. Hey, your body's tired. Is this really all you're going to do?
Yeah.
And then you sit. Am I okay with that? Obviously, well, I would imagine you're probably going to say no. So you're like, okay, well, like, let's try and fill up the time. But yeah, it's going to happen. Like, it's even happened to me. It's like, is this really all there is? But the beautiful thing is that even if you're going through a season of, like, hardness, maybe it's a really, like, low point for you. There's always ups, and there's always, oops, I went the wrong way. There's always downs, there's always ups, and it's just life. And then you're gonna, as we get older, we'll come to recognize that that's just how life is. So, all right, is it the period where I'm like literally questioning my entire existence, or is it a period where I'm like, oh, I love the world, go happy, go lucky, let's try everything? I don't know.
There's ups and downs to like the emotional aspects of life, but you can straighten that out with a few things. So I do want to trace back a little bit to your systems.
Okay.
Oh yeah, because this shit's like what I obsess about all the time. But you gave meal prepping as an example. Do you meal prep? Or similar to wanting your days to be different, do you also like to be like, nah, dude, like I might cook every day, but I don't need to make the same thing for a whole week, 7 days straight. Because if you've ever done a little bit of research, you've learned that meal prepping is actually not necessarily the best thing. Because depending on what meal you're making, if you're eating it the same day, I think this nutritionist that I saw an interview of, she said you're supposed to eat like 36 different nuts and vegetables, I think throughout like a week or something like that.
Yeah.
And if you're eating the same thing every day, you're leaving a lot of like your nutrients on the table still left to be eaten.
Yeah.
So what have been those things? Because if you were just giving examples earlier, what are the real things that you for sure have like put into place so that you don't have to worry about it on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, and I think the important part to note is that I've made this a system or like made this a goal because I haven't been able to achieve it in the past. And so
Don't fix it if it ain't broken. Is that where you're going?
No, what I'm going to say is that I am a very, very strong starter. Like at the beginning of the year, I was like the most productive. Every system in the world was working out. I was like on a high. I was like, check, 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 baby. And now, no, it's like the complete opposite. I'm like having to like reset and I'm like, can I include this? Like, am I going to do it? Like I remember at the beginning of the year, I was boasting that I was literally on a sleep schedule. I was like, all right, guys, by 10:15 I am in bed and I'm waking up at 5, whatever. And it was really good for a period, but then, just life happens and then like that cycle gets messed up. What I will say right now is that health has been something that I've been really trying to focus and figuring out how the systems and everything plays into that. So like with the meal prep, I initially tried by just having a list of really nutritious meals that were tailored to like my body, and I knew that that would get me through the week. But I recognized that my days aren't consistent enough where I could be consistent in my eating. And so like for this past week on Sunday, I do this like yogurt oat situation, and you're talking about all the nuts that need to be included. I have like a ton of nuts that are in there, so I like get that done at the beginning of the day. It has the protein, has everything, and so I just go in the morning, pick it up, and then if I have to go to work, I'll eat it while I'm driving, or if I can work from home, I'll do that.
That's not safe.
When I sit down at my desk at work, then I pop it open and then I eat it. But one system that was super, super helpful when I was doing it consistently at the beginning of the year was this thing called the 2-minute rule. If something takes less than 2 minutes to do it. Because I would find myself, I don't want to take, I know it sounds silly, like I don't want to take my dishes to the kitchen from the table. And I would just like leave it there and be like, whatever. It takes less than 2 minutes. Even if I just put it next to the sink, that's better. Making sure that my clothes are in the laundry room, it takes less than 2 minutes. And like at the end of the week, I would have loved myself more than being like, oh my God, my house is a wreck. And yeah, it's just like little things. Like if I'm driving home, if I need to go stop and get gas, all right, well, that takes a little bit more, but like that will help me in the morning, So just little things like that have been really helpful. But just tailoring it to who you are. Like I've tried to figure out the right way to like set up my whole meal system. And like, we're in September. Like I haven't figured it out. So it's going to take trial and error for a lot of these things. Mm-hmm. But once something sticks, like I know now, like I'm waking up typically around 5:30 every morning. So I'm like, all right, that's consistent. Like with my dog in the morning, we have to go for our morning walk. That's consistent. But yeah, like what can you include that's consistent for you? If it doesn't work, don't beat yourself up. That's why you haven't done it before. It's not working, so we gotta adjust.
Have you read Atomic Habits?
Okay, I was thinking about it, and then I read like one chapter, and then I tried the audiobook, and then I got kind of bored because I just need the chisme. Like the podcast, like I need a podcast that gives a lot of really good content with really great people in front and behind the cameras I need a lot more stuff in a podcast to listen to.
It's such a good book. One of the things that it did, I don't know if it was in the book or if it was in one of his emails if you just subscribe, but he said if you feel like your routine is holding you back, mm-hmm. you like just take a minute, write it on paper, write out everything you do. Literally, like in the morning, I wake up, I get up off the bed, put my socks on, and I brush my teeth first thing. But like just try to remember everything you do and then just add a negative point, positive point, negative point, and then you get your net rating. Mm-hmm. And then you can see like, oh shoot, my morning routine's actually like at a -2. How the hell does that happen?
Yeah.
So that's how you can really adjust and decide, I probably shouldn't smoke a bowl every morning because I'm running late now every morning. You know what I mean? Like you start figuring those things out.
Yeah.
For me, it wasn't the bowl. It was showers. I was like, no, I'm just kidding. Imagine.
What?
It's like I didn't want to take the bowl out. The bowl was too important, so I took the shower out instead.
Goodness.
I'm just messing around, but it's one of those tools that like it makes self-improvement not so mumbo jumbo, and it allows you to have a tangible plan to try to build habits, build mm-hmm. better habits, eliminate unhelpful ones. Shout out to Justin Keppel. Yeah. But just have habits that are more tailored to what it is you're trying to accomplish. Mm-hmm. Because yeah, I mean for me, waking up early has been a lot better for me because now I feel less sluggish. Even if I end up taking naps later on in the day, I still feel more ready.
Yeah.
I don't feel bad about myself because mm-hmm. I woke up at 9 a.m. I used to be happy about 9 a.m. I used to tell people, because I'd be late to my 10:30, I'd be like, man, I got early class. They'd be like, what time? 10:30, and they'd look at me mad.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Now I wake up involuntarily, like at 3 or 4 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
If it's at 3 though, I think someone's trying to wake me up and it scares me.
Okay.
I think the witching hour is trying to get me.
Oh, yeah. Try to go back to sleep. Mm-hmm.
I'm so scared at 3 a.m. It's crazy.
Yeah,
If
it
it's
seems like an
4:01 a.m.,
uncomfortable.
I'm less scared. Of
Really?
things. Yeah. I'll run through my house, turning off every light as I run just so I have a trail of light with me.
Oh, wow.
But at 4, I'm sitting in the darkness.
401?
Yeah, 4:01 at least. Now I just get so freaked out. If I open my window, I get freaked out that someone's just gonna be standing there like on the outside. It's the scariest shit
You
in the
watch
world.
scary movies?
Not as often, but I'll enjoy a good horror, but not to the point where it's like, oh, that's dictating where my thoughts go.
Oh, okay.
I just get scared easy. The movies that I've seen were at younger ages, so like I've been just maybe scarred.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, we don't watch those. You got to keep life happy.
The point being, though, is that the routines that I'm very adamant about the routines, systems. So, digitally, are you on point about that as well? Or are you the type that's like, I'm cool with just my notes. I don't got no crazy app or anything like that. Because in this HQ, I'm trying to make everyone get onto Notion.
Oh my gosh,
So, like,
yes.
Mornings, stuff like that, you know, you're trying to create systems, but on digital, on your screens, are you also trying to keep track of everything so that your ideas are going from beginning to end instead of just being lost like a lot of the majority of people in life?
Yeah, I talk about systems like as if I have everything kind of figured out, but really it's because I get bored of stuff. So I'm like, oh my God, this is a really good system. Like I have this great notebook. It was so good, color coded, all of that good stuff. And then at one point I was like, you know what, this week I don't really feel like doing it. And then my whole system's messed up. It's because I just got bored of it. I was like, you know what, I want this new paper with this different pen, and I do it. Or this time around I'm gonna type all of my stuff like on my computer. And so I just need to put my thoughts somewhere. And then when I come across it at some point, I'm like, oh, that was a really good idea. No, but I swear I'm a good project manager because I manage a lot of projects. And it's not only like here, it's like for multiple organizations. So like there, I have like a really good mental perspective on how things are running. And so I'll just like keep people on track, like what's happening in the brain. But yeah, it's mostly up here, man.
Man. This is gonna be off camera, but I can't wait to just like show you some of these projects. The main one. I want to see how you would look at these projects and see how they'd be. But I do want to kind of like close into the last segment a bit.
Okay.
And just talk like not so much concepts, principles, values, but more so like what is going on with you. So on the career level though, I see where it is that you're currently at. I see what your focuses are within your positions, but what do you want your career to eventually unfold into? If right now it's in economic and community development, do you see this eventually becoming a more solidified position of like a city planner, or like is that where it ends up?
Yeah, I think so. My career path, or what I was studying in school, I was actually studying to become a pharmacist. You know, I'm a first generation student, and I think a lot of first generation students are kind of put into this box where you go for a job that gives you the most pay. And man, that starting off pay for the pharmacist was delicious.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, oh yeah, for sure, I'll do it. But then I just came to a revelation, and I decided in a very brightly lit lab that this is not what I want my life to look like. And then I made the pivot to economics and finance. And it was for the sole reason of actually wanting to become the city manager of El Paso. And so I've just kind of kept that thought like in mind, and I've given myself the space where I actually don't want to be the city manager until like I'm an older woman, maybe when I'm around in my 60s.
Geezer?
Yes, because at that point, like hopefully I'm like in a financial situation where I feel comfortable to, you know, just like dedicate my time to this. Obviously that's a really nice paying job too. But could you imagine if we didn't have to pay that much for that role and allow other positions to be made available? Hey, that would be really sweet. So ultimately,
Tim Duncan. You'd be okay with taking that pay cut? Tim Duncan.
Well, yeah, if I'm in a financial, like, there's a cap to where the amount of money you make translates into like happiness, right? And so if I'm in a financial position where like I can take that pay cut, which it's a good amount of money, so I wouldn't imagine why I wouldn't need to take a little bit of a pay cut to like build out a team that would really benefit the community, hey, then so be it. But
That's what I want as my city manager.
yeah, so I think it would be amazing if just, it's interesting starting off in economic development, getting into community development, seeing how this unfolds. Like, will I go to the private sector next? Will I go to who knows where? How will that influence this like long-term like image that I have for myself? And it's fun, even like when I'll go on my walks and stuff, I'm like, you know what we need? And then I'll like type it out in my notes. And so I'm like, oh, I hope that 60-year-old me appreciates 20-year-old me for all of my really amazing ideas, and I really hope that they're still relevant.
Yeah. As far as it being for El Paso, what happens if this leads to a different city? Is this one of those things that you're like, I really only have this passion because of the fact that I grew up here?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you just have this passion in terms of developing and helping the community that you're in at that moment?
No, I think my passion is specifically for El Paso.
Okay.
Because even growing up, I think it hurts when people say, oh, I don't like El Paso. Oh, there's nothing to do in El Paso. Oh, I'm going to leave as soon as I can, right? It hurts. It's like, imagine somebody coming to your home and telling you, this is ugly, this is lame, why do you have this? Oh, these people, whatever, right? No, like, instead of complaining about something, put in the work and change your community to be the community you want it to be, not only for you, but also for your family. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't leave and experience other communities. Sure, like, go wherever you guys want. There's like a lot of experience that can come from you moving. But if the opportunity comes, hopefully El Paso would be the place that you would want to come back to and share what you've learned to help us continue to grow our community. So ultimately, like, I've had friends that had to leave because of their job. And I would hope that one day we get to the point where people can choose to leave because they want to experience something else versus having to leave because they're capped at where they can grow here, you know? So fingers crossed, we can get there.
On the way. Mm-hmm. Need a few years, though. You're far from 60.
Well, that, and you know, I've come to recognize that even if change does happen, any change that will happen, I probably won't reap the benefit of it. I'm hoping that like my kids reap the benefit from it, or other, like, really, I hope that like in this meantime, I think it's really funny that people don't know who I am, but I'm literally working on their behalf. Like, I'm like there and I'm like, oh, look, this place doesn't have internet, or look, oh, these people, they're struggling. How do we get the funding to go help them? They don't know who I am. They don't know anybody's trying to help them out. But if their life gets a little bit easier, I don't need to be known. It's just like they're able to do so much more with like this new position that they might be in.
Damn, Casey.
How fun, no? Imagine. Nobody will know. I'm behind the curtain.
Not anymore. MF on the map.
True. Hi, guys. I'm helping you, hopefully, a little bit.
She's going to ask us to end up not releasing the episode.
Oh, no.
I know.
Ooh. Nah, just kidding.
Yeah, share the clips again when I'm 60. Let's see what happened.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Nah, well, I mean, you'll probably have a couple sequels on here.
Oh, my gosh. What should we talk about next?
I don't know.
Should the people decide?
Every time the city goes through big developments, I'm going to bring you on.
Dang. I don't know how much I can comment.
Casey. Casey.
There's applause going off right now.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Were you able to
I
hear?
actually heard just like a
Oh, yeah,
little
you
bit.
have
Yeah,
those
no,
headphones
it's
too.
in the distance. Uh-huh.
Man, I'm sure you're not really trying to plug anything, but is there
Yeah,
anything that you'd
I'm
like to shout at? Is there a website you'd like for people to go to so it can be more integrated? Like, what do you want people to?
Actually, I will do a plug.
Let's
Not
go.
for myself, but for every creative that's trying to do something, every
that's perfect.
nonprofit that's trying to do something, every organization that's trying to do something. Because you can gain so much by going to one meeting that you weren't sure that you should have gone to. going to one concert, going to one pop-up event. You can meet so many people. You are in a community where you are basically 1 degree of separation away from entire networks. So like on those days where maybe you're being a little antisocial, you're like, I don't really feel like going to this. You're losing out on an opportunity to really just expand your appreciation for the community. And on top of that, coming from somebody who plans events, having just one more person at the event really, really makes a big difference, because you know that those weeks, maybe months of planning were worth it. So come out, enjoy the community, because it has so much to offer. And who knows, maybe Evan over here will get you involved in who knows what, and then you'll be on the podcast and you'll be doing who knows what. But just
Legends only. And then let's make this a short one, just a little final question, because you said something that I thought was important. How much money is being left on the table on grants because creatives and organizations aren't applying? Too much?
yeah, there's money out there that we could be taking advantage of, but also just got to be in the right network.
And that only happens if you're out there. Mm-hmm. You heard it from Casey. She's the one who's pulling all the strings of the city, man.
Oh, yes.
All the strings.
Watch out.
Casey, thank you so much. It's really good to just like have a long, full-length conversation. You know what I mean? It's not our first. We've been able to have some good conversation before, but it's good to document this one.
Yeah, no, this was great. Thank you guys for having me. Ton of fun.
Thank you.
Thanks for making the time.
Hell yeah.
You had a long day.
Yeah, for real. 5 a.m., 5:30.
5:30.
You get to sleep in a little bit tomorrow?
Yeah,
Will you?
sure.
Okay. Still got to walk the dog, though.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Casey, thank you once more. Ladies and gentlemen, that's how we fucking do it over here, dog. I say that there's explicit language in the episode, so I had to fit it in somewhere. But, hey, man, thank you guys so much. That's another episode of Live at MFHQ, man. Make sure that you guys show love to the pod. Make sure you show love to the platform. Find us on YouTube, of course. You can just check all of our websites, everything that we've ever done on our website, mfpearl.com. You can obviously follow the pod on your favorite streaming platform, Spotify, Apple Pod, Amazon Music. Or if you also just want to keep up to date with us on all of our latest announcements, at MFPearl on Instagram, at MFHQ Live for the pod's Instagram. But other than that, man, that's how we do it. Every Wednesday, Legends Only in the building. Volume 2, live at MFHQ. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, shit. Oh, yeah.